Good afternoon, everyone. I'm disappointed I can't join you this evening as we have our Bowie Hall of Honors inductees today. I'd like to say congratulations to all the family and friends that are there as we induct Mr. Harlan Tucker, Miss Gail Booker Jones, and Miss Margaret Herman into our Hall of Honor. They all contributed greatly to making Bowie the great city that it is today. Again, thank you all for being there, and thank you again to our honorees, family, and friends for making this the wonderful place and this wonderful day that it is today. Thank you.
We will have the PowerPoint presentation up, which has all of our Hall of Honors. Everyone you see here, there's something on our PowerPoint for them. Also, our Hall of Honor book, which is always at City Hall for you to look at, has some information about all of our Hall of Honor inductees. The Hall of Honor was established in 1994 to pay respect to those who made a major and lasting contribution to the city of Bowie. As you see, the wall is now filled up. We've been here for a long time, so you have to do something great to get onto this wall. So, hope nobody here wants to be a member yet. You have to be deceased for at least 1 year. So please remember that before you say, "Can I get inducted?" We're going to start with Colonel Harlan Tucker. He was, for many years, on our Community Recreation Council and was nominated and put into the Hall of Honor in 2020. Remembering him will be his sister, Linda Randall. Daughter. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of the entire Tucker family, consisting of 2 daughters, 1 son-in-law, 3 grandsons, 2 granddaughters, and all their spouses, and 6 great-granddaughters, my sister Susan and I, raise your hand, there it is, front row, and I would like to thank you for this incredible honor. The city of Bowie always held a very important place in our dad's life, and being selected for the Bowie Hall of Honor would have meant the world to him. We are sure he is bursting with pride right now. First, I'd like to talk about our dad's life and some accomplishments, and then share some personal reflections about him as a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. 100 years ago, on April 15th, 1923, Harlan Tucker was born on a ranch in Fairplay, Colorado. He grew up loving sports, including fishing and hunting, and lettered in football and track in high school before entering what is now Colorado State University in 1941. In fall 1942, just after enlisting in the Army Reserve Corps, he received his appointment to West Point, his childhood dream. 2 days after he graduated from the academy, in June 1946, he married his college sweetheart, our mother, Barbara McIntyre, at the West Point Chapel. They moved numerous times during his long and successful career in the U.S. Army, including Boston, where he earned an MBA at Harvard, and overseas assignments in the Philippines, Japan, and Korea, before moving to Bowie in the winter of 1964 while stationed at the Pentagon. In 1968, he was deployed to Vietnam to command the 45th Support Group in Pleiku and was assigned again to the Pentagon upon his return. He remained there until he retired from the military in 1976, and for his Army service, he received numerous honors, including a Bronze Star for Valor, and was inducted into the Quartermaster Corps Hall of Fame. After his 30-year Army career ended, he held senior positions in 2 firms located in the D.C. area until he fully retired in 2000. His commitment to volunteer work began when our family moved from California to Bowie in winter 1964. Bowie was a brand new development, and it seemed the perfect place to live while our dad was stationed at the Pentagon. We had no idea then that it would be our first permanent home until our dad passed away in 2017. In 1964, I was a sophomore at Duval High School, since Bowie High School had not yet been built, and my sister was in second grade at Tulip Grove Elementary. There was only one small shopping center with a grocery store, bank, cleaners, People's Drug Store, and a couple of other small shops. We went to Annapolis for movies, restaurants, and shopping. Our dad wasted no time to get involved and served as PTA president of Tulip Grove Elementary School before quickly adding to his volunteer resume. He devoted countless hours of service to recreational, environmental, military, and church organizations. After our dad passed away, Ronnie Gathers, director of the Department of Parks and Recreation for Prince George's County, wrote, and I quote, "As we honor the memory of Harlan Tucker, I am reminded of the quote by Winston Churchill, 'We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give.' Harlan unselfishly gave a lifetime, approximately 50 years of service to the Bowie Recreation Council, and served as its president and CEO for many years. He was instrumental in its development and growth, and at one point he facilitated over 50 active recreation councils. He was part of the group that founded the first Parks and Recreation Foundation and was involved in creating an advisory board for the Patuxent Wildlife Federation. He was indeed a pioneer of recreation councils and community organizations throughout the county. Our dad was active in the Veterans of Foreign Wars and served as commander of the Bowie Memorial Post 1085 for a number of years. The VFW provided a moving memorial service for him, and members joined us when he was buried at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors alongside our mother. For nearly 40 years, he also served as head usher for Holy Trinity Church in Bowie. As a lifelong athlete, our dad played tennis regularly, notably at the Bel Air Swim and Racket Club from the time it was built, and played softball on the Bowie Gold team. From 1997 to 2007, he qualified in the National Senior Olympics in tennis and softball, and won 34 medals in Maryland and West Virginia Senior Olympics competitions. Even when his knees prevented him from playing softball, and that was quite late in his life, he was the Bowie Gold scorekeeper and attended all games. I have shared just some of what everyone else saw, and now as daughters, my sister and I would like to share some personal thoughts about our dad. Our parents were married 66 years until our mother passed away in December 2012. In August 1999, mother suffered a massive stroke and required care in a skilled nursing facility in Bethesda for nearly 13 and a half years. Daddy was completely devoted to her and visited her daily, eating with her, advocating for her care, and providing her the comfort and love she needed. He never wavered or complained. He adored her. While the Bowie house became a bit difficult for him to maintain without mother over the years, he was dedicated to staying in Bowie, which was home to him in so many ways. Our dad was a devoted, caring, and loving husband, father, father-in-law, grandfather, grandfather-in-law, and great-grandfather. Here are some important lessons he taught us that we shared at his memorial service in June 2017. Number one, work hard. Work really, really hard at everything you do. Make a difference and aim toward perfection. His work ethic is found in every one of us, and I'm proud to say that most of our family is here today. We're missing some members, but a lot of us are here. Number two, be fiercely independent as long as you can. At 93, he headed off to attend his 75th reunion at West Point by himself. And at 94, he continued to have a packed weekly schedule of meetings, events, and appointments for all his volunteer work. Number three, Advocate for and support what you believe in most. Daddy was a champion for causes he believed in, beyond the community he loved, and we are still getting mail for some of the many charities he supported. Number 4, if you commit to something, always follow through. Your word is enough. Your word is important, enough said. Number 5, learn and keep learning. What a brilliant mind. He never stopped learning, reading extensively and attending a wide variety of seminars and conferences. What a wonderful example for all of us. He celebrated every academic achievement and never missed a single graduation. Be unselfish and generous. As most of you know, he was generous with his time, his efforts, his money, and asked for very little in return. As a dad, he was no different. Number 7, I'm almost done. Have a positive outlook on life and don't complain. He set the bar really high. Aging did not change that quality. Even when his knees were aching and walking distances was a struggle, he would just smile and say, "It just takes me longer these days. I'll get there." Number 8, love with your whole being. Love your God, love your country, love your community, love your church, love the work you do, love those who are in need. Whew. Love your friends, and last but certainly not least, love your family, as Daddy loved all of us. When our family gathered, he was always there. He cherished every moment he spent with us, which was often. We all lived nearby. And number 9, live your life to the fullest, and he definitely did just that. So in closing, we thank you again for this wonderful honor, for arranging this special program, and establishing the permanent place where his legacy of volunteer service will be remembered in the city that he loves so much.
Is there anybody else that would like to say a word about Harvard? Is there anybody from the CRC that would like to speak? If not, Councilman Wolfley. We have a proclamation to be read. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Essep.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to go ahead and read the formal proclamation of the City of Bowie, Maryland, placing Colonel Harlan Tucker in the Bowie Hall of Honor. Whereas Colonel Harlan Tucker was a resident of Bowie for 53 years, whereas Colonel Tucker was a graduate of West Point and during his 30-year career served in World War II and the Korean and Vietnam Wars. Whereas Colonel Tucker moved his family to Bowie in 1963 and once in Bowie began his involvement in volunteerism, receiving numerous awards including the Governor's Volunteer and Service Award and the Prince George's County Volunteer of the Year Award. Whereas during his time, Colonel Tucker became a member of the Bowie Community Recreation Committee and the Bowie Recreation Council. Whereas over the next 40 years, Colonel Tucker volunteered his time and became the chair of the Community Recreation Committee and numerous other organizations, which made recommendations and worked with the City of Bowie for the improvement and formation of White Marsh Park, Black Sox Park, Tanglewood Park, and many others. In addition, Colonel Tucker worked with the committee to make recommendations that the City Council still has in force today. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Council of the City of Bowie, Maryland, that because of Colonel Tucker's contributions to the City of Bowie, and because of his lifelong dedication and commitment to the citizens of Bowie, the City gratefully places his name on the City of Bowie Hall of Honor, presented at the Hall of Honor ceremony this Sunday, July the 23rd, signed Timothy J. Adams, Mayor.
Can we have Mrs. Scott come forward with the proclamation? Ladies, at this time, please come over to the center plaque and remove this cloth. Just put it down. Sorry, get it in. And it reads, Colonel Harlan Tucker, veteran of World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Recreation and Parks, longtime chairman, Community Recreation Committee, July 23rd, 2023. Okay, that's only one of three. So, we are next going to honor former Councilwoman Gail B. Booker Jones. She will be remembered by Kaylin Booker Jones.
Good afternoon, all. Hi, fam. Hey, fam. How you doing, sis? Yes. I see all your beautiful faces today. Hi. My name is Kaylin Booker Jones, and today we are gathered here to celebrate the induction of the Hall's honorees, one of which is my mother, Gail Booker Jones, the city's first Black councilperson and the first Black councilwoman. What an honor this is. Firstly, I would like to thank Miss Millie Hall for her continuous efforts of nominating my mother numerous times for this honor. Thank you. Despite the obstacles she faced, she continued on and she persevered. Thank you, Ms. Hall. I would like to also thank those that aided Ms. Hall in this journey by contributing a supporting letter for the nomination. I would like to thank Dr. Brenda Bellamy, Mr. Chris Lawson, Mrs. Deborah Pleasance, Auntie Debbie, Mrs. Karen Williamson, Mrs. Joanne Marshall-Hobbs, and former delegate Geraldine. Thank you so much to your efforts. I sincerely appreciate it. I would like to give some background about my mother and just my continuous praise and just honoring her and her memory. So from the beginning to the end, Gail, my mother, was a fighter. If she wasn't advocating on behalf of her family, she was advocating on behalf of her friends. And if not of her friends, she was advocating for her community. She was an all-around leader that dedicated to ensuring that those without a voice were heard loud and clear. She was never afraid to take on a challenge because she saw them as stepping stones on the path to accomplishing her goals. She was fearless. Her beginning in this world took place in the winter of '56 in Brooklyn, New York. Growing up, she was well known as being a vivacious young lady who was loved and respected by all. She was confident in her abilities and had a magnetic personality. Aside from being a very bright child, her sense of honor was on par as well. Her notable characteristics transcend with time. As she grew older, she took on more responsibility and acquired more leadership roles in her teen years. After graduating high school, she attained her Bachelor's of Science from University of Maryland, during which she was inducted into the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Post-undergrad, she accepted into Duquesne University School of Law, where she graduated and earned her Juris Doctorate degree. In her professional career, she was a civil rights attorney with the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, Division Director for the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, a senior advisor to the Deputy Director at the Social Security Administration, SSA. She thoroughly enjoyed working and shared many mirthful stories from her work life. Gail resided in Bowie for over 2 decades. In her community, she was a well-known civic leader that was a force to be reckoned with. Her first community role in Bowie was the president of the Woodmore Highlands Homeowner Association. During her time, she successfully lobbied city officials for a traffic safety program for the neighborhood, amongst other notable achievements. In addition to that role, she served on the Council Area Commission for the Chesapeake and Atlantic Coastal Bay, was a member of the Transportation Planning Board for the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, National Capital Region, a member of Prince George's County Municipal Association for the Maryland Municipal League, and PCA president of Ernest Everett Just Middle School, amongst a myriad of other roles. Her most notable community achievement in the city of Bowie was becoming the first African-American woman to win a seat on the Bowie City Council. Her campaign garnered a lot of attention because the community was finally presented with a contender that not only provided diverse representation, but the willingness to fight for those being overlooked for years. While in office, she played a pivotal role in the development of the Bowie Town Center, the Church Road Park, the Melford properties, and several other projects. She did all of this while raising 3 beautiful children, her favorite right here, and working full-time in the federal government. She was a tireless warrior for many causes, and always kept her eye on the prize, never wavering. In her final years, where retirement was close to mine for others, Gail was working towards opening a business, traveling the world with her children, mainly me, and watching her grandson grow up. In retrospect, Gail was active in all aspects of her life up until her untimely passing in the spring of 2016. Her tenacious mindset, fiery passion, and chutzpah kept her going and excited for the future. She was a fighter and a true trailblazer in the history of Bowie, period. Her family, friends, and community will miss her dearly. We miss you, Mom. Thank you. Thanks, sis. Love you. If anyone from the public, friends, family, if you feel moved to speak about my mother, I welcome you up, but if not, it is no obligation. Thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it. And now on to the next honoree order.
Is there anybody who wants to speak?
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Bobby Henry. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I am Bobby Henry. First, you need to know a little bit about me so that you can understand why I feel so strongly about Bowie and what goes on. As some of you, if not all of you know, I ran for Senate a few times in the city of Bowie, and I was always titled as a newcoming attorney to Bowie. Well, what people don't know is that I grew up over at Bowie High School. I am a graduate of the class of 1976, where Principal Armand Biscontini was our fearless leader. Some of you in here were in that class. So I'll just tell you that I understand the road that Bowie traveled from the time that we faced busing and school desegregation in 1973. We were young people. We didn't know anything about what was going on. We had read about the Supreme Court decision in 1954, but unfortunately it took till 1973 for it to take effect in Prince George's County. And so diversity, equity, and inclusion was beginning at that point. And it was a good thing. It's a good thing for Bowie, it's a good thing for Maryland, and it's a good thing for our country. And Gail Booker Jones epitomized that. When I chose to run for public office, Gail Booker Jones was the first person to encourage me. She was the first person to model. She was the first person to let me know that, Bobby, it was going to be challenging, but you can do it. Now, unfortunately, I never did win, but the lessons that I learned, that I passed on to others who came behind me was invaluable. I am so honored to have known her, to have worked with her, to have campaigned with her, to watch the woman that she was, the way that she loved her community. And yes, on the city council, there was lots of battles. There always are. People, we're not a homogenous society. We're not. We have lots of different opinions, lots of different views, and they all serve to make us grow, to make us better people. And the people that have gone before her on this wall have contributed greatly to the quality of life that we all enjoy today. Everywhere you travel around this state and this country, people recognize Bowie, Maryland, and it's because of the efforts and the contributions of those like Gail Booker Jones. She was a tremendous attorney. I met her down at Prince George's County in the circuit court, and I never forget, that was my actually first time really meeting her, was actually in court. And then I watched her raise her children, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. The way that she cared for them, the way that she loved them, the way that she protected them. And I always thought, she's doing so much for her community. How can she do these things for her family? But as you all know, mothers make a way. Mothers make a way. They do that. And I just, I don't want to go on because I know it's a long program, but if it were not for the likes of Gail Booker Jones, here in Bowie, we would not be where we are today. We have African American women that are now serving and representing our community here on the county council. And these things are not by chance. And while we recognize Gail as the first woman African American to serve on the county council and the trail that she blazed, it is not to the exclusion of others. It is not. It is just simply to recognize the road that they traveled. It was a hard road from New York coming down here to Bowie and to make the strides that she made here. So it is very fitting, Mayor Adams, in your absence, it is very fitting that she is recognized for her achievements today. I think that the city will be better when young people come along in the future and they look up on this board and they see the diversity and they read the history of what was contributed by each and every member up here. It was absolutely fantastic. So I want to congratulate you, Caitlin, for doing a wonderful job, a truly wonderful job. And your mother would be absolutely so proud of you. She would be so proud of you. So I just want to say and as I take my seat, I just wanted to say one thing. While I never knew Colonel Harlan Tucker, I never knew him. I never got to meet him personally. But to his family, I am an assistant to the Secretary of the Army. And I want to let you know that we are always proud of all of our veterans, and especially someone that had the record of service like he did. Thank you and your family for his military service.
Anybody else who would like to speak for Ms. Booker-Jones? If no, we do have another one. Come on up, sir.
Well, for those who don't know me, I'm Kim Jones, and I was married to Gail. So I'll give you some color contrast on how we got to Bowie. We both attended school at the University of Maryland, and I saw Gail at a reunion one time somewhere, and I said, let's get together, you know, for a conversation, to talk, to go out to lunch. And lo and behold, she stood me up 3 times before I got an opportunity to talk to her. 3 times. So we finally got together. We finally liked each other after we got together. And we decided to get married and to raise a family. So we were living in Springdale. We had just bought a home in Springdale. And I was like, oh, I'm happy, but my wife, Gail Booker-Jones at the time, she decided, hey, Kim, Bowie's open up. Let's move into Bowie. Where's Bowie? We just moved here. Lo and behold, a year later, we're moving into Bowie. And to say the least, Gail was a fighter. She fought for everything. And if you're married to an attorney, you know the phone never stops ringing. Family is calling, friends is calling, everybody's calling, asking. And she did a fabulous job of balancing it. I don't know how she did it. She did all that for the kids. She was writing my term papers as I was going through school. I don't know how she did everything and stayed as positive as she did. At the time, I worked at night. So I would get off and drive Gail to work, and we would have breakfast and take the kids to school and come back home. And it was amazing how everything was going. And then I remember she told me, Kim, I'm going to run for county council. Why are you going to do that? Why? Don't we have enough to worry about? well, we need to get some diversity in our community. We need to get some things done. And I remember was another councilman. I think his last name was Alshire.
Yes, yes.
Yes. They were butting heads at the beginning. Always butting heads over issues, always. At the end, they were the best friends. Big turnaround, big turnaround. Gail, in turn, she got some speed bumps put into our neighborhood to slow the cars down. She ran for county, when she ran for city council, the first time, she lost. So I assumed, okay, well, you tried it. You didn't win, no big deal. Here we go again, I'm gonna do it again. So she won this time. And lo and behold, here is the history. This is her history, her legacy. I remember coming home, she's studying films of herself when she's giving speeches and talking to me about issues, and stuff is just going over my head. What are you talking about? That's not what I want to know right now, just going over my head. But she was into the community, into her friends. That's all I'm going to say. I could run on for quite some time, but I will stop. I just want to say she just did a wonderful job, and it was a great opportunity and a great friendship and a great love for a person that I had for her during the time that we were together. So thank you all.
Is there anybody else? All right, sir, come on up.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is William Burnett. I consider myself a close family friend of the Booker Joneses. And I just want to speak, everybody I've heard speak so far has spoken about all the wonderful things that Gail did in the present. But being a youth at the time, growing up with her daughters and her son, and being able to look up to someone who could be such a pillar in the community, something that honestly in our community a lot of times you only see on television, you only see formulated in writing, not actuality. It was an honor. I came from a world where I had a troubled upbringing in a little bit, and being able to become friends with her middle child, Courtney, was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Not just because of the great friendship that Courtney gave me, but because it allowed me to experience that family. And when I was in that home, when I was around, if you know anything about Miss Gail, she ain't take no mess. And she was happy to welcome you into that home, but she had standards, she had expectations for those that spend time with her children. And I did my best to follow by those. We may have had a couple of differences, but in the end, and especially as an adult now, you see the purpose for which she had those standards in place. And so what I really wanted to speak to about today is that's an amazing person that we lost, and we lose amazing people every day, but sometimes the ones that we lose, we don't realize how much of an effect they had on us until they're gone. So I just ask that you treasure those that you have with you, those that you may look up to, but don't give them their flowers in the moment, because I wish that she were here to be able to receive these flowers and this honor. And though it's beautiful that we're able to honor her today, I know she would have been more than happy and more than pleased and gave an amazing speech about all the work that she did to stand here today. So I just want to say to the family, thank you for welcoming me in, and to the city, thank you so much for honoring that amazing woman.
My mother was a tenacious fighter here in the city of Bowie, and it was because of her seeing the inadequacy that was going on in the community that forged her to actually come and fight for a seat on the council. It was a point where we lived in Woodmore Highlands off of Church Road, and in the community, we were not included in the tax base here in terms of resources that were allocated to our community. So we were to pay for our own garbage, our own public services, and things like that out of our own dollars. So it was my mother who had these concerns and decided to reach out and challenge some of the inadequacies that were going on here in the city of Bowie. It took her running for our HOA and being the president as a mother of 3 kids, my sister there and my older brother as well. and also being a division director with the USDA at the time. Then she went on, she fought, and she ran for the first time. She lost, but that wasn't the end. She decided to continue on with her pursuits, and she decided to go back and go against the odds. Now at the time, I was a young lady, I was a little girl at the time, and I remember going door to door with my mom, knocking on doors, getting votes. And it was knowing that I can sit and look up to this woman who was incredible. She wasn't just fighting for our family, she was fighting for the community. So once that time passed and it transpired and we lost the first election, but she actually won the second one, I knew that everything that she did had an impact that would be generational. And when I come here today and I look and see her name on this wall, I look at what she fought for. It's not just the few little details that tell you about who she is in terms of the plaque, but it's the legacy that she left behind. She didn't just fight for my family. She fought for every family here in Bowie. And she also fought for representation here on the council, because it took many years for them to actually go and assess the people who were within the tax base and actually ensure that they were allocated representative on the council and to get the representation that they needed. But we also have to take into consideration that she was the first African-American female black, well, I'll say African-American female on the city council, in addition to Michael Bannister at the time. He was District 4, my mother was District 3. So I think in terms of understanding where we've come from and understanding our history and understanding where we're going, we have to actually make sure that we actually understand the details and make sure that the history is not, let's say, for better words, lost. So when I come to you today and I speak to you about my mother and what she's done and the fact that we lost my mother in 2016, but that did not stop my sister from going on to do what she's done. She's at Carnegie Mellon now, getting her master's in information security, policy and management. I'm in my PhD program. I've served 6 years in the military. And on top of that, my father, he supported us along the way. He's been someone that has been literally just forged us to keep us on the straight and narrow. So I say that to say I'm thankful for my parents, but more importantly, I'm thankful for the legacy my mother left behind for our family. This isn't the end, this is just the beginning.
Now, at this time, please welcome Councilman Gardner.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for coming out here this evening. This one here today, for me, presenting this proclamation is somewhat of a bittersweet situation here for me. I knew Gail Booker Jones very well. We were not just neighbors or residents or just hi-bys. We were very, very close friends. Gail and I spoke almost daily. We would oftentimes have conversations when she was in dialysis, nighttime, and we would spend 3 hours at a time on a call. I don't know what we spent talking about, but we did. And it was always interesting, new, and exciting. Gail had just a gift of just drawing you in. I also want to say it is because of Gail Booker Jones that I am a member of the Bowie City Council. Gail not only encouraged me to run, she served as my treasurer, she helped me raise money, she introduced me to many, many, many neighbors and friends over the years, of which she said would be important to listen to and learn the issues and concerns of our community. And her advice was by far some of the most important and best advice that I still carry to this day. I remember many, many evenings this young lady here, Caitlin, spent in my den while Gail and I was in the kitchen, and she was, "Mom, I'm ready to go." And Gail's like, "Just a little longer, just a little longer." And that longer would turn into an hour or two, okay, even longer. But, and I remember once too, when your mom called me on the phone and she says, "Hey, I need your car because I'm taking Caitlin to get her driver's license today." So we got together and made sure you were there on time because of the appointments. And your mom, you know, like myself, we have a tendency to be late. So, but your mom was very much so dedicated to getting there on time because of the appointment schedule. I remember her being really frustrated that day, but you got there on time and you got your driver's license. I remember. I want to give thanks to God for having had a friend like Gail Booker Jones. Amen. She was indeed one thing that everyone says today about her, a fighter, a champion. And she would pick up almost any calls. And I'm like, Gail, do we need to fight this one? And she said, oh no, let me explain why. And then I said, okay, I got it. Okay, now you see, I got it, Gail, I got it. So then I was there along with her. And she saw no party lines. Gail was strongly open to Republican, Democratic, all views from all sides of the aisle. She wanted to learn what everyone was thinking so that she could then process this and make it work for all of us, not just for one particular group. And this is what I try and do here as a member of the council. I work for us all. I'm a voice for us all, and that's what Gail said. Remember, you are the voice of many. And she was just an incredible woman, just an incredible woman. I thank you, Matt. I want to thank Millie Hall today for working to making this happen. She fought tirelessly in making this happen, and I want to thank you, Millie, for doing this. And I know the Jones family is grateful, but the residents of Bowie are appreciative, and for many future residents that are coming will see the name Gail Booker Jones, having served as the first Black woman on the Bowie City Council. She paved the way for us all, and I thank you, Millie Hall. Thank you. So, I want this proclamation on behalf of the City of Bowie, the City Council of Bowie, Maryland, placing Gail Booker Jones in the Bowie Hall of Honor, whereas Gail Booker Jones was a resident of Bowie for over 20 years, and whereas Ms. Booker Jones was a well-known civic leader whose first community role was the president of Whitmore Highlands Homeowners Association. In addition, she served as critical area commission for the Chesapeake Bay and the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, Capital Regions. And whereas Ms. Booker Jones' most notable community achievement was becoming the first African-American woman to win the seat on the Bowie City Council, and whereas in office, Ms. Booker Jones played a pivotal role in the development of the Bowie Town Center, Church Road Park, and the Melford properties. And now be it proclaimed by the Council of the City of Bowie, Maryland, that because Gail Booker Jones' contributions to the City of Bowie and her lifelong dedication and commitment to the citizens of the City of Bowie gratefully places her name in the City of Bowie Hall of Honor, presented at the Hall of Honor ceremony Sunday, July 23rd, 2023, signed by Mayor Timothy J. Adams.
No, it's okay. Dad can film me.
Okay.
Oh, I can take it out? Yes. Guys, look at us.
That's all right. Oh, you blocked it.
I did a good job.
Okay.
And it reads, what's that?
May I read it?
Yes, you may.
Thank you so much.
Gail B. Booker Jones, beloved friend, mother, grandmother, leader, attorney, trailblazer, forward-thinking catalyst for change. That is what she was. Thank you so much.
And yet, we are not done.
Okay, Henri, can I have my program back?
Oh, yes, you may.
Well, I had one over here. Okay, so our third person going in will be Miss Margaret Mary Herman, and she will be remembered by Victoria Bergman.
Good
say about Margaret Herman. When I met her, she was the mother of my friend Vicki. Tasker Junior High had just opened up, and that's where we met. Margaret was a military wife, and she was widowed young. I saw her only occasionally when I saw my friend Vicki away from school. She was always Mrs. Herman. Time moved on as the years passed. We got to know each other a bit better, but she was still Mrs. Herman. One day she called me up and asked if I was still going to live in Bowie for another year or so. Stupid me. I said, of course, why? She said innocently, I'm involved in a group called Bravo, and we're trying to build a performing arts center next to the high school. Would you come with me to the next meeting? Innocent, unsuspecting me agreed. And that meeting, in a way, changed my life. Not so much in struggling and fighting for the birth of a dream, but because of the people I met. I'll explain in a minute. With the carrot of one meeting, I had the privilege of getting to know Margaret. She was no longer Mrs. Herman, the mother of my friend from Tasker Junior High. She became my friend, my advocate, and my champion. And I discovered she had a wonderful sense of humor. It wasn't just our work together on the Bravo board, but because she embraced me as a daughter, encouraged me, and welcomed me into her heart. Her daughters, Vicki and Elizabeth, granddaughter Stephanie, and son-in-law Stephen, which really, Stephen wasn't her son-in-law. She always referred to him as her son. And I really think if he had been her son, he would have been her favorite child.
He still is.
But because of this, it increased my personal family circle. Bravo, with its challenges, was the reason we became closer. Thank you, Margaret. I do forgive you. One day, the Bravo board and supporters were to attend a City of Bowie Council meeting to ask the city for funding. And a letter was to be read. It needed to be read. Someone decided I was the perfect candidate. When I asked why me, the answer was, they don't know you. We need a new face. At that time, speaking in public was a form of torture to me. Margaret, who had a lot of theater experience, said, it'll be easy, I'll coach you. Just remember to breathe from your stomach. Speak slower. You can do it. So once again, I do forgive you, Margaret. Eventually, the Performing Arts Center was completed, and the first performance was Peter Pan. I cried when Peter flew. The fly space was a huge argument in many of our meetings. People said, oh, it's just going to be a theater attached to the high school. You don't need to have it like a professional theater. And we went back and forth, and we had theater reps from New York come down. And we got our fly space. And we also had one entire meeting discussing the number of stalls in the ladies' rooms. The guys just really didn't understand. Margaret and her husband Charles were among the first owners in the F section. She put her heart and soul into her community through Girl Scouts, the Quilt Guild, Bravo, supporting city candidates for city, county, and state offices, through the theater here in Bowie, and numerous ways that she impacted the lives of others. After I was asked to speak today, I reached out to two of my friends for their thoughts on Margaret's legacy. I asked Abby Banks, who was very involved in the city of Bowie for many years. She now lives in Florida. And I asked my friend Rosemary Benedetti, who was also involved in Bowie for a number of years. She graduated from Bowie High. She never really left Bowie High because she ended up working there. When I asked Abby of her thoughts, she said her work in the community will never be forgotten, as well as she herself. Margaret was one of a kind and always will be remembered by friends with great respect and love. And Rosemary summed up her feelings by saying she was such a loving, giving person who made everyone feel important, wanted, and needed. Her laugh and smile were infectious. Now, back to why Brava changed my life. Because of Margaret dragging me to that first Brava meeting, and many years afterwards, I ended up meeting my husband, Brad. With Margaret, our running joke always was, "Do you forgive me?" She wanted to know if I forgave her for dragging me into that Brava meeting. "Yes, Margaret," I would reply, "I forgave you a long time ago." So I was scribbling my speech on a notepad, came to the last page, so gotta stop. But I want to thank you, Margaret, for your love, your friendship, and showing me that volunteering in one's community reaches farther than we will know in our lifetimes. Thank you, Margaret. I hope you're smiling when you hear my words today. She was one of a kind. Thank you.
Anybody else who would like to speak for Ms. Herman? Anybody else for Ms. Herman? If not, then Councilman Wolfley with our proclamation.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to take a moment to just say a couple words about all the candidates. First of all, when you look on this wall and you recognize the significant contributions that have made to this community, it's truly amazing. I've been here 30 plus years. I'm still a newcomer, but I know a lot of those names, and it's interesting. When I first met Harlan, when I first started getting involved in the community, I was on the finance committee and a few other things, and I remember I had some issue with recreation and sports and fields. Well, you got to go talk to Harlan. Oh, well, you better talk to Harlan. You better go talk to Harlan. Who is this Harlan? It was never Colonel Harlan. It was just Harlan. And lo and behold, we had a great working relationship those many years ago. And the same thing for Gail. Once again, when she was running, that's when I first met her and thought the world of her then. And we would periodically keep in touch. I helped a little bit here and there. And then I remember showing up one day at the McDonald's for perhaps going to St. John's, perhaps a little drop-off. And my daughter was going to St. John's, as was hers, Caitlin. So, and there she was, and immediately she saw me first, and was like, "Oh, do for how are you?" And of course, she was bigger than the room that she walked into. She was just a stunning person as well. And these people are with us throughout our days in the community. And at first you don't notice it, but then after a while you're like, wow, they're around a lot. And that's the way it was with Margaret as well. As I said, I've been here 30-some years. Obviously, I can't remember when she wasn't around. I don't remember exactly the first time I met her, but I do owe a lot of thanks to her for her ongoing effort at Brava. She was front and center with that. Ultimately, so much so leading to getting my wife involved with Brava as well. Tremendous commitment. Her daughters, just absolutely stunning family, and all of them engaged in the community. because their mother taught them so. And all of these people here today have a legacy that they've left with their family and their community members, where they have not just accomplished something themselves, but they've imbued this ethos in their family and friends. And ultimately, that is perhaps the greatest contribution, is the continuous gift of example that has led us to a society where we have more and more people, as the community grows, participating on a day-to-day basis. We don't know when we first meet them how long they'll be engaged, but there are going to be a lot of people on this wall over the course of time, and these are the people that set the stage. So congratulations to all for that. And with Margaret, to me it was very, very personal. We were great friends. You'd walk in the room, and she didn't come rushing up to you because she knew that you were coming to her. And it didn't matter where it was, whether it was at the community theater or over at the Brava Center or some political event. I always made my pilgrimage to go talk to her. And with her great advice, wicked sense of humor, and her absolutely unending commitment to the city of Bowie, she was just an absolutely fantastic contributor. So I can't be prouder than I am now standing before you, being able to say that I'll read the proclamation for Margaret. A proclamation of the City Council of Bowie, Maryland, placing Margaret M. Herman in the Bowie Hall of Honor. Whereas Margaret M. Herman was a resident of Bowie for 56 years, and whereas Ms. Herman was a self-proclaimed professional volunteer, taught Red Cross first aid, and was a Girl Scout leader, trainer, and council organizer. And whereas Ms. Herman was a member of the Bowie Regional Arts Vision Association, BRAVA, to build the Center for Performing Arts in Bowie. And whereas Ms. Herman in recent years served on the City of Bowie Arts Committee and the revived BRAVA, working to expand the arts in Bowie. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Council of the City of Bowie, Maryland, that because Margaret M. Herman's contributions to the City of Bowie and her lifelong dedication and commitment to bringing the arts to the citizens of Bowie, the City of Bowie gratefully places her name in the City of Bowie Hall of Honor. Presented at the Hall of Honor ceremony on Sunday, July 23rd, 2023, signed Timothy J. Adams, Mayor. Thank you very much, Margaret.
Can we get Ms. Herman's family up here to take the clock down?
Okay, she's going to tell you you put it up too high.
That's it, she always would, absolutely.
It's too high.
Come on.
It's too high. I know.
And it reads, Margaret Mary Herman, volunteer, advocate for the arts, committed to her community, loving mother, and true friend, July 23rd, 2023.
I'm here for Margaret Herman. Margaret sort of became a second mother to me. I have my regular mother, but I have Margaret sort of took me in with another friend and just treated me as part of her family and got me interested in the theater group she worked with, and her quilting group, and her political stances, and she was just delightful.
I knew Gail Booker Jones, and she was a phenomenal person, and she was everything that everybody has already said. But one thing I wanted to add is that she always said, it's not who finishes the race first, but it's who finishes the job properly.
It's a good occasion for us. Gail was the first African-American woman to integrate Bowie City Hall. So that was special right there. But she was an excellent mother. She was a good person and a fighter and champion for Bowie.
It brings back his memorial service in 2017, where community came together here in Bowie and spoke personally, and then at his services about all of the work that he had done and the amount of time and I guess the I'm sorry. That's just so it brings back that, and then preparing for today and the remarks that I'm going to be giving made me just appreciate more the amount of unselfish time that he devoted to in so many areas in the city.